Kusama Infinity. Kusama Infinity from 2018 is a documentary about the life and work of the Japanese artist Yayoi Kusama. Directed by Heather Lenz, the film traces Kusama's journey from a small town in Japan to the international art world and explores her unique artistic vision, which is characterized by polka dots and bold colors. The film features interviews with Kusama herself and fellow artists and is a fascinating portrait of one of the most influential artists of our time. Kusama Infinity shines a richly deserved spotlight on its subject's brilliant work while opening a fascinating, albeit necessarily incomplete, window into her personal life. The movie is rated positively on Rotten Tomatoes by both critics and audience, with a fresh score of 94% and an audience score of 90%. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari from 1920 is a German expressionist silent film directed by Robert Wiene. The film tells the story of a mysterious hypnotist named Dr. Caligari and a somnambulist servant named Caesar, who is used to commit a series of murders. The film is known for its striking visual style, characterized by sharp angles and distorted perspectives. Arguably the first true horror film, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari set a brilliantly high bar for the horror and suspense genres and remains terrifying nearly a century after it first hit the screen. This drama horror movie is rated positively on Rotten Tomatoes by both critics and audience, with a fresh score of 96% and an audience score of 89%. Girl with a Pearl Earring. Girl with a Pearl Earring from 2003 is a historical drama based on the famous painting by Johannes Vermeer. Directed by Peter Weber, the film stars Scarlett Johansson as Griette, a young girl who becomes a maid in Vermeer's household and becomes the subject of one of his most famous paintings. The film is a beautifully crafted period piece that captures the essence of Vermeer's art and the quiet power of Johansson's performance. From a critic's standpoint, while visually arresting, the story could be told with a bit more energy. The movie is rated on Rotten Tomatoes with a Rotten score of 73% by critics and a full bucket audience score of 68%. Exit Through the Gift Shop. Exit Through the Gift Shop from 2010 is a documentary about the world of street art, directed by the enigmatic artist Basquiat. The film follows the journey of an eccentric Frenchman named Thierry Guetta, who sets out to make a documentary about street art, but ends up becoming a street artist himself under the name Mr. Brainwash. The film blurs the line between reality and fiction and raises important questions about the nature of art and the role of the artist in society. From a critic's standpoint, the picture is an amusing, engrossing look at underground art which entertains as it deflates the myths and hype surrounding its subjects. The movie is rated very positively on Rotten Tomatoes by both critics and audience, with a fresh score of 96% and an audience score of 91%. Pollock. Pollock from 2000 is a biopic about the life and work of Jackson Pollock, the pioneering American abstract expressionist painter. Directed by Ed Harris, who also stars as Pollock, the film explores the artist's creative process, his relationships with other artists, and his struggle with alcoholism. The film features outstanding performances by Harris and Marcia Gay Harden, who won an Academy Award for a portrayal of Pollock's wife, Lee Krasner. From a critic's standpoint, though Pollock does not really allow audiences a glimpse of the painter as a person, it does powerfully depict the creative process. Harris throws himself into the role and turns it into a compelling performance. The movie is rated positively on Rotten Tomatoes by both critics and audiences, with a fresh score of 80% and an audience score of 74%. Mr. Turner. Directed by Mike Leigh, Mr. Turner from 2014 is a biopic about the life and work of J.M.W. Turner, one of England's greatest painters. The film stars Timothy Spall as Turner and explores his artistic process, his relationships with other artists and patrons, and his personal life. The film features stunning visuals that capture the beauty of Turner's landscapes and seascapes, and a standout performance by Spall, who brings the gruff and eccentric Turner to life. From a critic's standpoint, Mr. Turner is a superior Hollywood biopic, led by a masterful performance from Timothy Spall and brilliantly directed by Mike Leigh. The movie is rated on Rotten Tomatoes with a fresh score of 97% by critics and a tip bucket audience score of 56%. Loving Vincent. Loving Vincent from 2017 is a unique animated film that tells the story of Vincent van Gogh's life and death. Directed by Dorota Kobiela and Hugh Welchman, the film is made up of over 65,000 hand-painted frames, each one created in the style of Van Gogh's artwork. The film follows the journey of Armand Roulin, a young man tasked with delivering a letter from Van Gogh to his brother, and features standout performances by Saoirse Ronan, Douglas Booth, and Chris O'Dowd. From a critical standpoint, Loving Vincent's dazzling visual achievements make this Van Gogh biopic well worth seeking out, even if its narrative is far less effectively composed. The movie is rated very positively on Rotten Tomatoes by both critics and audience, with a fresh score of 84% and an audience score of 86%. The Agony and the Ecstasy. The Agony and the Ecstasy from 1965 is an historical drama based on the life of Michelangelo, the famous Italian artist and sculptor. Directed by Carol Reed, the film stars Charlton Heston as Michelangelo and Rex Harrison as Pope Julius II, who commissions Michelangelo to paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. The film explores Michelangelo's artistic process and his complex relationship with the Pope. It's a visually stunning film that captures the beauty of Michelangelo's art and the spirit of the Renaissance period. The movie is rated positively on Rotten Tomatoes by both critics and audience, with a fresh score of 86% and an audience score of 78%. Basquiat. Directed by famous painter Julian Schnabel, who came to prominence with his signature plate paintings in the 80s. Basquiat, from 1996, is a biopic about the life and work of Jean-Michel Basquiat, who rose to fame in the 1980s New York City art scene and whom the artist knew from close as well. The film follows Basquiat's rise to fame, his relationships with other artists, including Andy Warhol, and his struggles with addiction. It features an outstanding performance by Jeffrey Wright as Basquiat, who captures the intensity and complexity of the artist's personality. With affected strokes, Basquiat paints an expressionist portrait of a misfit artist, masterfully rendered by a riveting Jeffrey Wright. The movie is rated positively on Rotten Tomatoes by both critics and audience, with a fresh score of 67% and an audience score of 77%. Frida. Frida, from 2002, is a biographical film about the life of the Mexican artist Frida Khalo. Directed by Julie Taymor, the film stars Selma Hayek as Frida and tells the story of her life, including her complicated marriage to fellow artist Diego Rivera, her battle with polio and a near-fatal bus accident, and her unique artistic vision. The film features stunning visuals that capture the spirit of Khalo's art in a standout performance by Hayek, who embodies the fiery and passionate nature of the artist. From a critic's standpoint, Frida is a passionate, visually striking biopic about the larger-than-life artist. The movie is rated positively on Rotten Tomatoes by both critics and audience, with a fresh score of 76% and an audience score of 85%. That's it for our top 10 art movies with detailed descriptions for each. Each film offers a unique perspective on the art world and the artists who inhabit it, and we hope you'll give them a watch if you haven't already.